There are two ways to be rich. One is by acquiring much, and the other is by desiring little. So most people have the desire to be free, and usually what this means is having control over how you spend your time and where you spend that time. I became fascinated with this idea of achieving financial freedom a couple of years ago, back when I was working my 9-to-5 job. And my solution to this was to figure out how to make as much money as possible in a relatively passive way, with the goal of ultimately having enough assets to where I really don't have to work to earn my money. But that's just one of the ways to achieve this type of freedom. And there's actually another way that people follow that I'm not really familiar with myself. And that is by living on as little money as possible. That way you don't need that much to sustain yourself and to have freedom. So I've been following that one strategy for years of trying to make as much money as possible to become financially free. But what I want to profile in this video instead is the other side of the equation. So I have a friend of mine who actually lives full-time in an RV, and I messaged her on Instagram and asked if she wanted to be in a video, and she said yes. So what we're gonna look at today is how you can actually achieve that type of freedom without saving up hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, and doing it in a totally different way. So I hope you guys enjoyed this interview. It's a totally different philosophy from what I talk about and teach on my channel. And if you guys do, make sure you drop a like and share it with a friend. But that being said, guys, let's get into the video now. All right, guys, so I'm here with my friend, Kristen. Pretty sure I just noticed that you live in an RV. Yeah. And I was like, that's a pretty cool concept. And I was super curious about your lifestyle. And then you mentioned that you were looking to start a YouTube channel. So I said, you want to come on and talk about RV life and things like that. So that is how we came to be in your RV here. So it's kind of interesting because I feel like when people are looking to achieve freedom, there's like two different paths you follow. You either try to make a ton of money and then essentially have enough money that you're free to travel and do things. And I feel like that's more the philosophy I followed. But this seems like a totally different philosophy where you're essentially just living off of as little as possible. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what I want to focus on is like, how do you accomplish this, and what, how do you afford this? Is it a lot? And I think that's kind of the side that people would be more curious about as far as my channel goes. So first of all, how did you get the idea for this?
So I got the idea from taking a trip to Iceland for around 8 to 10 days. And I lived out of a van during this process, and I traveled around all of Iceland within those 8 days. And so when I did this, I was just fascinated by the idea of minimalism and not having much to just travel and also live out of a small space. And once I came back home, I decided this is the lifestyle that I want to live full time. And so I started looking into van life, RVs, just different things that I could possibly live in. And so I decided to bite the bullet and invest in this RV, Fiona.
Now, is there a big difference between van life and RV life? Because I was doing some research, and are those the same thing? Is it different?
They're different in a sense because RVs typically already have all the amenities that you would need for a normal house or an apartment. And so in a way, you're kind of getting things already there for you, versus a van, most people usually build from scratch. Mm-hmm. You can still do that in an RV, but the biggest difference is space.
Yeah, I mean, we're in this right now, obviously, and it's homey. I feel like I'm in a tiny home kind of thing. Yeah. Whereas you see those Sprinter vans and stuff, or the old vans, the Volkswagen vans. Yeah. I don't remember what they're called, but those, you see inside of them sometimes, and it's I would not want to sit in one. But yeah. This is I could see hanging out and watching a movie or something. It's homey.
And we're tall people, so right, yeah. We're able to stand inside this RV. comfortably versus, some vans. Like for me, I'm like almost 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be able to just stand straight up. And in the van from Iceland, it wasn't a tall van. It was actually really short. I forget the name of it, but I was like hunched over the whole time, but it was just a bed.
Right.
And it had like a heater, and it had like all the things that you would need to cook and stuff underneath the bed. And I love the idea of it, but for, being more comfortable and feeling like I have my house here and I can bring it anywhere, the RV seemed to be the most suiting for my lifestyle.
So I can't imagine that there's a ton of RVs that are for sale. Like this seems like kind of a niche item here, especially you said this is a 1993. So how did you even like find this RV when you were in the market for one?
So I went onto Facebook Marketplace because it shows you where things are like closer to you in your location. And I was looking up vans for like probably like a year and a half and couldn't find anything really. A lot of things were well out of my price range if they were really nice. And I also didn't want to build from scratch. I actually already built a tiny house in my past, and I also kind of did the same thing with a Honda Element. So I have some experience with the building, but at this point I was like, all right, I just kind of want something already sort of set up for me and just kind of decorate it, add in some extra stuff to it. So was looking for RVs as well because of that reason as well. And there wasn't a lot. There was not a lot of RVs out there, and nice RVs. Most of them are super old. You'd have to basically redo the whole thing. The walls are old and everything. But I found two. One was around 13 grand. And so that was out of my price range.
Sure.
And I was kind of looking for something under 10 grand because that, seemed reasonable. And so I found this one shortly after because the other one I really wanted to negotiate or something, and they sold it immediately.
Oh, okay.
So I was upset about that. But then I found this one, and she was trying to sell this one for about 12 grand. And then we like kind of negotiated a price where around $8,500.
Oh, sure. Okay.
So I ended up like biting that bullet and investing in Fiona, and so that's how I ended up getting her.
So then did you have to, was it in New York that you bought it, or was it out of state?
No, so it was out of state. I believe it was Pennsylvania where I bought my RV, and I traveled down there with my sisters and my family. We went all the way down there, we picked Fiona up, and we all drove back up the East Coast, and we decided to just make a trip out of it, and we lived out of the RV for a night and just went to the beach and had like a really nice time. And then I brought her here, and then just immediately just jumped into living into full-time RV life.
And that's really cool too, because I would imagine that's like a big part of this is the ability to just move your home whenever you want to.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think the main thing that people are probably interested in is like if they're looking to like take action on this, if they're like, I want to do this, I want to go out and buy an RV, like I want to talk about like the financial side of this. So you said your budget was like 10 grand. Is that pretty much, do you just buy something like this outright? Do you get a loan, or what does that look like?
So at the time I was saving up money, and so I had around 5 grand when I bought her, and I negotiated paying around $500 a month to pay off the rest.
And this was to the owner?
To the owner.
Okay, so you gave him like $5,000, then you said I'll pay you $500 a month until it's all paid off.
Yeah. Which was only like a few more months after that. And so that's how I started off. I didn't have a loan, but you could, I think I was contemplating getting a loan. But I didn't end up really needing one at the time.
Sure.
But I would say that's probably everyone's best bet if they're going for something that expensive and they don't have the money.
You get some kind of loan for it, yeah. And then I can't imagine, like I know right now you're on your parents' property, just until, because right now you're finishing up school.
My master's.
And then you're going to head out to Colorado or California or something?
Yeah.
Okay. But I can't imagine, like, so right now, do your parents charge you to live here, or do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Slightly. They charge me $50 a month.
Okay.
And that's just for water and electricity.
Electricity, right.
That's it, yeah.
So other than that, are there any costs associated with this lifestyle? Like,
outside of your norm, I would say, so I have to pay for insurance, and that includes life insurance, and that honestly I think is only about $300 a year.
Oh wow.
Super cheap. I have a car as well, and I pay $88 a month for insurance on my car. So it's like way cheaper to have
an RV.
Yeah,
Okay,
just to do it this way.
Yeah.
So I save money there, especially when I start traveling. And then I don't have to pay for, rent. I mean, that's like the biggest thing.
I know,
like technically the $50 is like paying your utility bill.
Right. It's so fascinating how cheap that is, because it's like, so like if you're trying to live for free, the strategy that most people follow is the one that I did, which is house hacking, which is where you buy a multifamily property and you live in one of the units and you rent the other ones out. But that's just like, it's far more complicated, and it's like you have to save up a lot of money to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So obviously there's pros and cons to both, but it's like so interesting to be like, oh wow, you can also do it this way by living in as a small space as possible, and then like having no rent payment is like saves you probably $1,000 a month.
Yeah, and the thing is, by me opting out of rent for an entire year, that money that I would have put towards rent for 1 year is the cost of this RV.
Okay.
So then think about after a year, I'm not paying anything.
Yeah. So obviously having no rent payment, no mortgage, like that's a ton of savings right there. How much per month do you think like you're able to save from this lifestyle, like just cash in the bank or whatever?
So I probably save around $1,000 a month.
Wow.
Doing this lifestyle.
And that's incredible because like I will tell you from like what I know from studying finance, like the average person doesn't even have $1,000 in savings.
Exactly.
Like the majority of Americans have less than $1,000, and then following this lifestyle, you're able to save more than the average American has every single month.
And the thing is, when I did have an apartment and I paid rent, which was $800 a month for rent, I was not I could not even save $100. You know, like now I'm saving $1,000, so it's just
because you were probably heating a larger space.
Yep.
What do you do for internet?
So I use my phone, and I use the mobile hotspot on my phone for work, for streaming things. You know, if I want to watch like a video or something off, Amazon. So I mainly just use the mobile hotspot.
Okay, yeah.
Through Verizon.
I wasn't sure if that was in with your deal with your parents, but that's great because then you have that.
It would have been. Yeah. It would have been. The only thing is, because I'm so like far away from their house,
you wouldn't have
I can't even reach their Wi-Fi. It would have been been free though.
That's good though, because once you hit the road, then that's already like a fixed cost built into your budget. So obviously one of the major pros of this lifestyle, from what I can gather, is the fact that you have no rent, no mortgage, and you can save like $1,000 a month. But like, what are the cons to this lifestyle?
So negatives, I would say, in general, smaller space can take an adjustment. So if you're going from an apartment or even a house, you're used to having all of this extra space, and so jumping into something smaller, it's kind of like, your whole world got turned upside down. Now you have to adjust to it. For me, it wasn't that hard because I'm a camper, like an avid camper. So, I don't really mind the small space, but I think for someone else who is so used to that lifestyle, it can be a little bit of an adjustment.
Sure.
So that would be one of them. Another thing is, this is a pro and a con, but being consciously aware of everything. I'm aware of how much gas I'm using. I'm aware of how much water I'm using. Where's the water going to? Things like that. And those are things that I never really had to think about when I lived in an apartment. You are like, your mind it's just like you're unconsciously doing things. You're showering without thinking twice about it. You're doing dishes. You're using toilet water, which you don't think about. Even like using my fridge and everything. Like if the electricity goes out, it's more likely to go out versus being in an apartment. Another con is that when you live in an apartment, you have a landlord that usually can take care of things. Like if electrical issues happen, like my last apartment, there were some electrical issues and someone came and fixed it.
Right.
In the RV or in a van, you don't have that luxury, and you have to figure everything out on your own and just do your own research and find someone who can help you. And so
right. And I know right now you have a pump leak, right, or something with your holding tank.
My pump broke.
Yeah. So whereas with your apartment, you just call up your landlord, but now it's like
I have to buy a new pump, or and
not to mention too, it's probably a little more difficult to find parts, I would imagine, for an older RV versus just I need a light switch or something like that.
I have not found the part yet.
Yeah.
But I am living you know, I am using like jugs of water that I refill, and that's just what I'm using for water right now.
Sure.
And for me, that's it's okay. I mean, having the pump is a luxury item that you don't realize is a luxury until you lose it. You know?
I'm sure, yeah. And then, are there any other pros to it that we didn't cover?
Pros, I would say it's more of an environmentally friendly lifestyle. I recycle as much as I can, and I try to compost. So my goal is to compost my waste, compost food, and put that back into the environment.
Sure.
So these are things that I think are super amazing, and that can be a part of this lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then, so after you finish up school, I know you mentioned you're heading to Colorado or California. You're not sure yet, or what's the plan?
I would love to just travel around the U.S., cross country, check out Canada. There's a lot of things on my list that I want to conquer and check off. But eventually I would like to live in Colorado, even if it's temporary for like a year.
And then when you're not staying here, where do you put this? And does it cost you anything?
So I could pay for a campsite, or I could, live in like a national park or something like that. There's different things.
Is it free?
So some things are free, some
Okay.
things aren't. So there's like certain places you can go to, and it would be more boondocking versus getting utilities, which eventually I want to do more solar and go more off grid. When I'm traveling, that would be the most ideal. But when you do that, yeah, that's free. Boondocking is pretty much free in a lot of places you go.
Is it legal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, and they have designated like you can have an RV up to this amount of feet.
Oh wow.
And if it's too big, they might not even let you do it. It depends. Where this is a pretty small RV, so I can get away with being most places. But if I'm in a situation where I really do need a place to be, or a place to stay, Arizona, I was researching this, they have places for RVs and van life dwellers and everything where it's super, super cheap. I mean, even it could be free for months to live on their land, and it's like a whole community. So that's actually one of my plans is to save up money or get on my feet if I need to do some, get a job or something quick and whatever,
just go out to Arizona, live there for free and figure things out.
Yep.
That's
that's like my backup plan if anything happens.
And then when you do end up, obviously your job right now is not a job where you work remote. Do you work in person?
So right now it's remote only because of COVID.
Okay.
But
when you go to Colorado, will you be able to maintain this job, or you'll be getting a different job, or not working? Or
I would probably try to find something that's remote. And also, so this job right now is more New York prone.
Sure.
But I could probably travel with it. It's once COVID's over, I would have to meet people in person and actually do work, do meetings in person and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Yeah. Would you try to find a job that's full time, or would you rather try to do gig work or things like that, or what was so you have more time to travel and do things?
Yeah, so I would like to not be full-time because I am a super active person physically. I just like to ski, I like to camp, I like to do things off-grid. So I would love to not have to go somewhere and work. I mean, right now it's nice, I do work 9 to 5-ish, but it's remote, so I can still get up and do things. It's very flexible. But when I'm on the road, that's not something that, I want to be constantly putting.
Right, yeah, it would be a lot to try to work full-time while traveling full-time. Yeah.
So I'm looking into options for doing something remote and also part-time.
Sure.
And so, because, once I'm on the road and remote, I'm not going to need money as much.
Right, yeah, because you're, unless something breaks, knock on wood, but other than that, it's mostly fixed costs, which is, that's great, yeah. And you're also, as a segue here, starting a YouTube channel, which I'll be sure to link up down below. We'll put a card at the end too. But what are you planning on sharing on this YouTube channel?
I have so many ideas. So some of the things I'd like to share is that I'm going to be building a compost toilet from scratch.
Oh, wow.
So I would love to show a video of how I do that, and to also promote, being more eco-friendly. Other things is I'm going to show a tour of Fiona. Then once I'm on the road, I want to show just, going to different national parks and showing how you can live this lifestyle in a cheap way. And also, I'm vegan, so in a vegan friendly way as well, to promote that as well.
That's perfect, yeah. All right, so I'll have Kristen's Instagram and YouTube channel, everything down below. But yeah, thanks for inviting us in here. This has been awesome, and it's just really cool to see like a totally different way of life, but essentially accomplishing that same thing of living as cheaply as possible to have your freedom and not be tied down to working that 40-hour job.
Exactly,
So it's really interesting to see that.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. And this is definitely different than my usual stuff, so if you guys enjoyed this, leave me a comment and I will look for other random strangers to do YouTube videos with interesting stories. So see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.